Concerns over school standards, shrinking budgets and universities under pressure. Testing times indeed for the new Education Secretary, who joins me live in studio to discuss the issues in her in-tray. Welcome to Politics Wales. I'm Teleri Glyn Jones, also coming up on the programme. Sporadic, good morning. The new Cabinet Secretary for Education will outline her vision for the job in the Senedd on Tuesday. Glyn was appointed as part of the new First Minister's reshuffle in March, and she's already faced some tough questions from MSs about school budgets, the new curriculum and absenteeism. I'll be joined by the Cabinet Secretary in a moment, but first, Cemlyn Davies looks at the challenges she has ahead of her in her new role. Well, joining me now to discuss all of this is Education Secretary Glyn. Thank you so much for coming in this morning. We really do appreciate it. Let's start with higher education. We heard there about the kind of participation gap, but there's huge concerns about funding, isn't there? You know, Aberystwyth University this week, 200 jobs being cut. Other universities facing similar problems. Staying with universities for a moment, you know, these worries aren't new. They've been warning for some that essentially the cap on fees means that they're completely dependent on international students. That market's dropped off and they basically just aren't able to make ends meet. What can be done about that?
To work with the universities on that.
What can be done, do you think? Or do we just have to accept these huge job cuts, some of them really damaging, especially say they've got too much on their plates? The WhatsApp messages or the iMessages show about the kind of harmony within the government, because more than anything, it's just embarrassing to see, you know, the Labour group fighting amongst itself like that. Well, it's been a busy week for the presiding officer, with the past few days seeing both the 25th anniversary of the first elections to Cardiff Bay and legislation passed to reform the Senedd. But the Llywydd Elin Jones still found time to welcome the Wales cast team into the Siambr to discuss both the devolution journey to date and what the future holds. Colleagues James Williams and Felicity Evans began by discussing the significance of this week's vote to change the electoral system and increase the number of MSs to 96 for the next Senedd elections. And you can hear the full Walescast interview on BBC Sounds. Well, now to growing concerns about the future of one of Wales's most well-known cultural institutions. A number of Welsh artists and musicians have criticised cuts to WNO, Welsh National Opera, in a letter signed by the likes of Bryn Terfel, Michael Sheen and Ruth Jones, which has been sent to the First Minister. It says the funding cuts facing the body would be devastating. The letter was organised by Elizabeth Atherton, a soprano who began her career with WNO 20 years ago and currently sits on the cross-party working group for music in the Senedd. I caught up with her a little earlier this morning and began by asking if the future of WNO is at risk. And that's it for this week. I'll be back next Sunday at 10, but until then, have a great week. Hwyl fawr i chi.